Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and part 1 of 2 to the next Dragon Ball story, What If Cell Max Was Perfect? Now before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, and check out the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything for the Omniverse's future. With all that said, let's begin. So, it's the next Dragon Ball story, and this is the design that I personally made for Perfect Cell Max. Now, there's a lot that goes into this. So let me explain. We all know Cell as a bio-android created by Dr. Gero, literally made to absorb 17 and 18, causing him to become perfect. And then, everything that we know of happened. He became super perfect. But Gohan, the son of Goku, would end up killing him. Present Cell, not the future Cell that would come back and do all of what he did, but the present Cell was killed by Krillin and Trunks before he could ever reach any status of being. He was killed in the med lab. And Future Cell was killed, but there was an iteration of him that became perfect. It's just in game format, Xenoverse, for those who don't know. And then we would see Cell return again by ancestors of the Red Ribbon Army, Dr. Hedo. And this version would be called Cell Max, basically taking Bio Broly and Ereza and so on, and Bio Broly and stuff like that. And this Cell Max would be so unforgivably and undeniably strong that even Orange freaking Piccolo and everybody there, the Gammas, who were stronger than Goku and Vegeta, Orange Piccolo, who would literally boss the Tournament of Power, and a reinvigorated Gohan, would only be able to scar his head and take out his arm. But this Cell Max was so undeniably strong that the Z Fighters were almost out of options. And his moves, he was just a maniacal monster. But before he could get the final blow and just kill everybody, Gohan would unlock a new form, basically an enhancement of his mystic form, and it would be Beast Gohan, or Final Gohan, if you want to go with that name. And with a first time ever Special Beam Cannon, if you don't count the games, he would kill Cell Max. But people have talked about and speculated the fact that we never got to see Cell Max and what he actually would look like if he was perfected, because he wasn't. Now, people say, oh, he would have just been the same except actually controlled. Bullcrap. Like, come on. Cell, perfect? Like, come on. It's in his biological nature to be perfect. Like, perfect. You know? So, that is just thrown out the window. Now, people have made designs for Cell Max or recolors over and over and over. But I decided to actually make a Cell Max, not just recolor or, reanimate or reimagine a already existing cell, but actually make a completely original concept for a perfect Cell Max. And here you go. This is Cell Max Perfect. Now, there are 3 directions that I think this could happen. Number 1, we get an imperfect Cell Max first, and he absorbs 17 and 18 and becomes perfect Cell Max. That's basically the most generic way it could happen. Number 2, present Cell actually survives, and Cell Max gets all the data from that cell and becomes perfect Cell Max that way. Or number 3, he's perfect from the get-go, like it almost could have been. No matter what way you want to interpret it, it doesn't matter. You get perfect Cell Max. And Dr. Hedo absolutely cannot believe it. The Gammas, actually fused Gotenks, going Super Saiyan 3, and Orange Piccolo all try to attack. But with a single all clear from this perfect Cell Max, all of them are so crippled that it might as well just say that they die within contact. But I'm going to say that the vast majority of them are I'm going to say that they're just severely crippled for story's sake. But this immediately provokes Gohan to beast, so much so that it's almost like he is furious beyond beast. It's like a super beast at this point, provoking Cell to transform himself into a higher level of power with his perfect Cell Max form, and shoots out a huge mouth beam, which Gohan counters with a special beast cannon. And the beams collide and they explode into a huge array of pink, green, black, purple. The light and explosion and array of aura and color from everything that just happened in a span of just a few seconds is beyond amazement and surprise. And we actually get to see what an injured Gohan Beast would look like. This is also original too. And he prepares for a Kamehameha Beast form. But Cell Max shoots beams from his eyes and his mouth at Gohan Beast, but Gohan's still charging the Beast Kamehameha, and then he teleports. And he performs a Beast Warp Kamehameha, doing another original thing for himself. First time Special Beam Cannon and first time Warp Kamehameha, because Goku was prominently known for that. But Cell Max just completely overwhelms everybody around, especially Gohan Beast, by barriering himself from the Warp Kamehameha. And this barrier just arrays the entire area, pushing Gohan Beast back so much that Cell Max basically outshines his own barrier and forcibly puts that energy from the barrier he just arrayed onto Gohan Beast and just compacts it onto him, trapping him in the barrier. Basically taking this out of Dragon Ball Daima, pretty much, if you guys saw that. And then he proceeds to do a perfect-sized array of blasts exploding out of his body. Disaster Ray, whatever it's called. And he just shines it even more so. And at this point, if everybody else is not dead, they are pretty much dead. But you guys will see. I might throw in one or two of them still alive. You'll see. Anyways, Gohan is crippled at this point. He cannot sustain Beast anymore, rage or not. But Goku and Vegeta arrive there, and with Mastered Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, much more perfected since whenever they fought Gas and got one-shotted by Black Frieza, do they stand a chance against this perfect Cell Max when the originals would have almost not? And is Broly going to help? What about Frieza? Will he make an appearance? What more could we see from Gohan and this perfect Cell Max who's barely tapped into his power? And is anybody else alive? How long will the group here stay alive? And whoever else might show up? Find out in the second part or the finale. Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick. And what if Cell Max was perfect? The second and final part. Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick and all the other channels separating the what if content across the Omniverse of Nick. And especially check the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything for the future of the Omniverse. With all that said, let's begin. So we open up with Goku and Vegeta arriving on the scene to fight Perfect Cell Max and transforming into Mastered UI and Ultra Ego. Cell Max smiles and then he roars, gets into a fighting stance, and prepares to fight them. And he flings and extends his tail, just ferociously swiping it at the two of them. Vegeta uses Ultra Ego to try and absorb the damage, but he warns Goku this is a lot of freaking damage. And Goku feels it himself, even through dodging. And so much so, he has to get instantly serious in Mastered UI. Cell Max shoots an arrayed-colored eye beam at both of them. Goku combats it with just a fury of attacks with Mastered UI in tow, and outshining it with a Skyline Kamehameha, but he realizes this ain't gonna be enough. He's gotta do more. So he concentrates and just roars forward with a punch, but Perfect Cell Max dodges it. This is what Goku expected, though. And he does a flurry of attacks and charges, and boom, a soaring fist. And this actually pushes Perfect Cell Max back on the ground. But this just made him angry. And with a furious roar, his aura explodes and just surrounds everything. And Goku can feel this, all this from one punch at him. And he roars in unison and prepares a Kamehameha, Mastered UI. And Cell Max prepares a Mouth Beam. Vegeta gets in tow for an Ultra Ego Ultra Instinct Gala Kamehameha, and they fire it just as Cell Max fires the Mouth Beam. And the aura and the colors and the array of everything when this beam explodes, just like the Special Beast Cannon and the attack from Cell Max before, it would definitely be something to witness, I'll tell you that much. And then Goku pulls out his Mastered UI avatar to grab Perfect Cell Max, while Vegeta prepares a Hakai full power Final Flash, and Cell Max, even grabbed by the avatar and Goku's Mastered UI strength, he prepares a Death Ball and fires it just as the Hakai Final Flash goes. It breaks through, but Goku uses all of his strength, all the Mastered UI, everything, to make sure the avatar and his own strength keeps Cell Max. But Perfect Cell Max just flings Mastered UI avatar and Goku off of him and barely manages to dodge before his arm is incinerated by Hakai Final Flash. Sound familiar to the OG Cell? And ironically, a very similar moment. But this Cell Max does what the other Cell Maxes you've ever seen have never done. He regenerates his arm. But since this is not the OG Cell, and we've never seen Cell Max regenerate, and the fact this was a Hakai Final Flash, this regeneration does not last long. His arm starts to shred, shatter, and fall apart immediately after. This regeneration was far from perfect. Ironic, isn't it? And Vegeta rushes forward to try to take advantage. Goku does the same in True UI. But Cell Max, with his free arm, just swipes so many times it's unprecedented as to how many times. Goku and Vegeta are left crippled on the ground, near death. And Cell Max speaks and says, "Perfect," before he's ready to kill them. But Broly comes in and attacks. But this is furious Broly. Dragon Ball Super, because even though he had been training to perfect the rage, him seeing everything from Gohan, Piccolo, Goku, and Vegeta, and everything going on, it snapped him again. And now he has once again fully embraced the rage. But it's not enough. But then he does something no one ever thought he would do. He ascends to a new level. Legendary or full power Super Saiyan 3. And this formidable, the ferocity and terrifying aura and power actually pushes Cell Max back. Gohan stands up once again and ascends to a new level himself. Beast Super Saiyan 2. And this actually begins to, since the Hakai Final Flash, began to make Perfect Cell Max fragile, and just everything else that Perfect Cell Max has gone against, this actually begins to injure Perfect Cell Max. His arm's gone, and his body, his wings, everything is beginning to shatter, crack, and fall apart. He is actually getting injured. But with his free arm, his eyes, mouth, and his body, ascensions of rays and beams and attacks everywhere. He scatters them everywhere, putting anyone, especially Gohan and Broly who hasn't been, on the freaking ground. And then prepares a death ball because Cell Max is done at this point. But from the Earth's atmosphere, something happens Cell Max would have never expected. A huge black, yellow, and pink beam of energy exudes from the atmosphere at a speed not even Perfect Cell Max could see, and just ascends and shoots right through his head. And he doesn't even extend to blow up like before. He just blows up on impact. And the perpetrator? Black Frieza. And he returns to normal, looking down at the people that he just saved, people that he's been trying to get revenge on for so long, people that helped him get this new level of power, people he outshined with just an attack the last time they met, and the people that he knows is preparing for him that he just had to save. It's a lot to take in, and he especially takes note of the fact that one of them is Broly. And he says, "You're welcome. But just because this is the second time, or technically third, I've saved you, don't get used to it. Because sooner rather than later, you'll now have to deal with me." And now Goku, Vegeta, Broly, Gohan, and Piccolo, and everyone in tow now has a new thing they gotta prepare for. The thing they'd already been attempting to prepare for. Black Frieza, the one who just saved them a third time, and something that their highest forms now, they're gonna need much more than in-the-moment transformations to save them. And Perfect Cell Max was just a clear-cut example. So, we end Perfect Cell Max's tale. I gotta say, I actually had pretty much a bit of fun with this one. Because not only did I get to spin on my own design and take for Cell Max, but I made him pretty freaking awesome to boot. And, yeah, I made Black Frieza come in for the save. But, honestly, now that we know that it's connected to as they're training for Black Frieza, I feel like it makes the most sense, especially since we're getting an anime debut, that that's the way to go about it. And let's be honest, Perfect Cell Max, look, Cell Max was already stronger than Goku and Vegeta, and could probably very well match them in their strongest forms. We even saw it in the manga. Gohan went against all of them in his beast form, and beat all of them. Pretty much. And that's the case, like, come on. Perfect Cell Max would whomp them, even at their best. That's why I pulled out things like Super Saiyan 3 Broly and Super Saiyan 2 Beast Gohan. Because, let's be honest, that would actually push Cell Max in his perfect form. And that's why I had him get so shattered and damaged. It took until that. Because besides that, everyone else is screwed. Now, you could question me, like, basically taking the Gammas and Piccolo and Gotenks out of the equation early, but what can they do against a Cell Max that could literally just, boom, one-shot them, essentially? Which, if you really think about it, for the Gammas and Gotenks, at least, that should have been a dead giveaway. Even a regular Gotenks who actually fused correctly. But I figured I'd debut that also, because we definitely should have gotten an actual Gotenks in that movie. They have done Gotenks so bloody dirty. But that's an opinion, which I bet a lot of people can agree with. Anyways, that's a wrap. And overall, gives Cell Max the respect that he should have deserved and should have gotten. While in the end, losing to someone that wasn't even a frickin' hero, an anti-villain, Black Frieza, and the overall hypeage, or the hype package, for his arc. Which, if you really think about it, could have been canonized as an actual thing had we gotten Perfect Cell Max. But no. But that's what you got people like me for. So I hope you guys like my take on Perfect Cell Max and this iteration of how he comes to be, and the outing of him, and the overall much more placent respect on the arc and Cell Max's character. Next thing up is Thunder's 5th episode. And trust me, if you thought the entrance into the Omniverse and so far in Thunder's journey was one thing, you guys have no idea the growth that's about to happen and the darkness that comes with it. I will see you later in the still ongoing Omniverse of Nick.